It's an actual beautiful day. We have positive changes for Dark Knight. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't realize that was even an option today with patch day for 7.1 of Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. Hello, 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 everybody. I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and let's peruse and quickly go over the patch notes for Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail patch 7.1. Now, if you expect some in-depth analysis for healers, you've come to the wrong channel, my guy. They just need to adjust. Yeah, job done. A lot of the changes from my initial perusal right before I recorded this, nothing's like over the top. There's no like systemic overhauls or anything like that. That I can't read. But it's mostly either quality of life changes or just a bunch of buffs and just potency changes. Like Pictomancer here, a palm will now appear in your canvas upon entering instance duties or when restarting an encounter. So you probably just don't have to like recast the thing, which is a nice change. Red Mage, you get some potency buffs. Summoner, who cares? Let's get to the meat and potatoes. First of all, I may not DPS anymore, maybe a tank, but I can appreciate this. This is like idiot protection, where now, after learning the action Communio, the hotbar icon will no longer be illuminated when remaining Lemure Shroud stacks at 1. This applies for Void Reaping, Cross Reaping, and Grim Reaping, and all kinds of reaping. Good, that's a noob trap, but hey. Like, if you're skilled, this wouldn't affect you whatsoever. Hopefully, it just nudges people in the right direction, at least. This is also a change I've been seeing a little bit here and there. The hit detection for this action will now trigger earlier for, like, Executioner's Gallows. Every now and then, you'll see this happen. Like, Ninja has it with Tenri Jindo. The hit detection of his action will now trigger earlier. It's rather interesting, and I'm hoping this is a direction they continue to go in. But yeah, let's rip off the proverbial Band-Aid. And let's just get on over to the tanks, the juicy, mouth-watering tanks. We have a Gunbreaker, and what I'm seeing is changes to self-healing and just potency buffs. Gunbreaker has some actually substantive changes. I have not really looked at Gunbreaker, but I'm looking at it now, and oh boy, we're going to have to get into this. Aurora, cure potency has been increased from 200 to 300. Nice. Superbolide, the effects of this action will now be applied earlier. No longer reduces HP to 1, and instead reduces HP to 50% of maximum. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Low-key, okay, hear me out here. This is gonna sound stupid, but I don't like this change. For the very simple reason that I don't play healer. And it was always fun when you had a healer that was kind of annoying for whatever reason. Even if you just, like, made it up. And you just wanted to scare them, right? Scary, spooky skeletons. And you wanted to make them scared. So you would just pop Superbolide, and your HP would go down to 1, and then you would see them pop all their cooldowns. It was always funny, right? Like, yeah, is it a bit mean? Is it a bit rude? A bit inconsiderate and unkind? Possibly, yeah. But it was pretty funny. That's what I'm just saying. And, like, reducing my HP to 50% is just not gonna have that same oomph. It's not gonna have that same, It's not the spice we're looking for, you know? That's what I mean. This is something I saw in the Dark Knight changes as well, where they're stopping this, like, dumb decision where it's like, hey, this spell only mitigates magic damage or whatnot. Thank God they're getting rid of this. I never found that particularly compelling. Heart of Light now also reduces physical damage taken by 5%. Just a little. Nice. Thank God. It at least applies across the board now. Hypervelocity potency has been reduced from 180 to 160. Cringe L ratio. But potency increases from the trait Melee Mastery 2 has been changed from 220 to 200. Doubly cringe, doubly ratio, double L. Here's the big one though. Double down. Cartridge cost has been reduced from 2 to 1. That's an interesting one. I'm not going to try and claim expertise and knowledge where I lack, but personally, I really enjoyed the flow of Gunbreaker with Dawntrail. I thought it worked really well. I didn't particularly mind Double Down costing 2. I mean, I highly doubt it was because Gunbreaker was lacking in damage, at least from what I remember, but it's an interesting change. I can't imagine too many people long-term will be upset about this, but it is one of those things where I have this concern that the cartridge spenders will end up feeling too samey over time. I might just be overthinking that. However, let's get to the piece of the resistance, because look at this. Paladin and Warrior barely have any changes. We are seeing this return though. Chaotic Cyclone. Hit detection of his action will now trigger earlier. Cool. Effects of his action will now be applied earlier with Holmgang. Thank God. Cover. Range has been extended from 10 to 20 yards. Cool. Intervene now acquired at level 66 instead of 74. Hollowed Ground. Effects effects actually will now be applied earlier. Cool. Dark Knight, though. This is the juicy boy. This is the one that is the talk of the proverbial town. Let's get into it. I loved Dark Knight for the longest time, but I found it kind of just dull when it came to Dawntrail. And over the last couple of expansions, what made Dark Knight so interesting and unique for me was eventually culled out of it or also given to the other tanks, and Dark Knight lost that sense of identity, lost that sense of uniqueness that I really treasured from it, and just felt like what the other tanks were. Like, it felt like it was them, but a worse version of them, or it was more clunky and just inefficient in a lot of ways. I don't think, as a disclaimer, I don't think these changes are enough to make me like Dark Knight overall, but I think they're a step in the right direction, and I think it's important to admit when a change is in the right direction and not. Like, I wasn't expecting an overhaul for Dark Knight with 7.1 or anything like that, yeah? But I think this is a step in the right direction and where I want to see Dark Knight headed in the future. For instance, Dark Mind now also reduces physical damage taken by 10%. Good. It used to only be magical. It was kind of crap. Some nerds will say, it's class identity. I don't view it to be interesting class identity just to be worse than the other tanks, like across the board. Living Dead now will be applied earlier. Cool. Abyssal Drain. This bad boy. Cure potency has been increased from 200 to 500. That's cool. I like it when Abyssal Drain heals you a lot. I love this spell. It has been historically one of my favorite spells before they made it just like AoE Carve and Spit. But my biggest issue with Abyssal Drain is the cooldown. I would hope they would have addressed that. They haven't, because again, it is just AoE version of Carve and Spit right now. So down the line, I would like to see a change like that. Like, it is a substantial cure buff, right? Going from 200 to 500. That's over double the healing. However, the issue I ran into with Dark Knight compared to the other tanks was consistency. There were moments with Dark Knight where you felt good and you felt up to par with the other tanks. My main issue was that the other tanks just felt like that all the time instead of Dark Knight, where it's like its highs were the normals of the other tank. Carve and Spit, the additional effect restores own HP, has been added with a cure potency of 500. Nice, because it was kind of stupid that your AoE version would actually heal you, but your single target wouldn't. It would just restore MP. I kind of thought that was stupid. I'm glad this one also heals you for 500. And it seems to be that what they're aiming for is to passively increase the consistency of Dark Knight here. Give it a little bit more healing. And by a little bit, like a little bit in like quotation marks there. Add healing to Carve and Spit so it's more consistent. Up the potency of some of your abilities. And make Dark Mind and Dark Missionary also apply to physical so they're more consistent for you as well. So you don't have to be like, oh, is this attack magic or physical? Oh, so you don't have to like have that mental arithmetic anymore. Speaking of, Dark Missionary, besides sounding like a kinky sex position, now acquired at level 66 instead of level 76. Cool. Now also reduces physical damage taken by 5%. Like, it's not much, but at least it's something, you know? And then your Scarlet Delirium, Comeuppance, and Torque Cleaver get an extra 20 potency across the board. Little changes, but I think these are welcome. Like I've covered this before, I don't think changes that are this small in the grand scheme of things will be enough to completely change and alter my opinions of Dark Knight. I don't think anything short of an overhaul or a remake of Dark Knight will suffice. But again, these are steps in the right direction for me that go more in line with the philosophy I want to see from Dark Knight in the future, which is more consistent. I want to see more self-healing from Dark Knight, because that was the playstyle I really enjoyed with Dark Knight back in Stormblood, that it just kind of lost overall, and just ironing out a lot of these weird bumps that Dark Knight has. I don't want it to just be sterile, right? I want it to have some uniqueness and identity, but I don't want its only identity being that it's just the other tanks but worse. Or more clunky. Screw everything, nothing matters, I don't care about any of these changes. Praise Yoshi P, praise Square Enix, take my money right now. They did the one thing I didn't even think I wanted, but I needed. The drop rate for minions found in the final treasure chest of the following dungeons has been increased. Katisa's Hyperborea, the Itioscope, but the big one, the Dead Ends. Buddy, if you don't understand, you do not know the war, the actual, like, consistent Napoleon-esque war that I waged to get the Dead Ends minion right before Dawntrail came out, and I just kept failing. Dude, I started like all my streams with a run in the dead ends. Just on trust, by the way. I had to do this with trusts, and I couldn't get the minion. Dude, the drop rate for the minion has finally increased. I might need to run it back. Look, I want my songbird. I want my little blue bird minion. I need it. It's not a want, it's a need. A primal need. It's instinctual. This right here might be the other best change of the entire patch, because holy god, how is this not in by default? The armoire now divides items into subcategories within each tab. Thank god. Buddy, I had to like memorize the names for these sets just to be able to differentiate them inside the armoire. Buddy, what the hell am I reading? Character toe detail when wearing the following foot gear has been improved. Buddy. Cool, I guess. So yeah, the rest of it is kind of the standard stuff we came to expect with patch 7.1. The interesting thing for me is that there are, let me double check that I can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quests for the MSQ, which is about the standard for a patch. So yeah, I'll be calling the video there for the day. I like the Dark Knight changes. Down the line, I would like to see more, but they are a step in the right direction. Wasn't expecting a rework, anything like that, but the changes I saw, to me at least, were rather positive. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.